What do you think the key was to getting, because I mean, I talk to proprietors every day and a lot of them seem to be in that position you were originally, where they're stuck in the business. What do you think the key was to kind of getting your head above the clouds or being able to see, to back out of that a little bit?
For me, it was once you find somebody that doesn't suck, and they do. I mean, I think last year, it's like I said, when I picked it up, we had maybe 13 employees, and I have 43 employees.
Wow.
And I think 16 of them are full time.
Wow.
But like when they come on, if they're good, you just got to pay them. I mean, it sucks,
Yeah.
but I look at the quality, and we're in a state where minimum wage is still $7.20, but you're not paying that, right? So
Yeah.
even a high school kid, I might be able to get a part-time high school kid for $9 an hour or whatever, but I'm paying them. Hopefully they're like bowling, and half the reason they're working for us is because they want to go bowl and do that stuff, and they just like being in the environment. And then, but if any of my full-time help and stuff, and they're making something where they can afford to live. That's a one job. I think that's the biggest thing. You got to if you find the good people, you got to make it so they're comfortable working one job. So if you're scheduling them for 40 hours a week, if for some reason somebody else does not show up for a shift, it's not the end of the world if they stay 2 more hours. We try to avoid that all we can.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to fry them out and burn them out.
Yeah.
Burn out just because we didn't have the right people yet. It was just the fact of weeding through people to find the right people that, like your process and like your family that you're in and like the environment. Right. And, bowlers are a different breed. League bowlers are, and learn how to deal with them the right way, and, and can have those conversations. But once you find those and you get those in place, you give them something that it's worth sticking around for, where they're not looking for other jobs. And
right.
Finding and developing career positions for people is what we've discussed. It's made a big difference, because if it's a career for somebody, and I probably have 3 positions, what I would call it's career money, where they're making something that if they had a 4-year college degree, that they would probably be starting out less than what they're making.
Yeah.
If you're a teacher or something like that, that's a good example, but that's where they're at, so where it's comparable more than what they would make, but obviously we don't have quite the benefit package, but we do offer retirement, a few things like that. We've tried to get proactive on those things.
Yeah.
To try to make people stick. And then, our management staff most of our main people have been over there over a year now since we've done the remodel, and all of my management has stuck around. That part's been really good. So we've been lucky to do stuff right that way. It costs a little bit more money. But, if you see someone working full time and they're good at what they do, they're well worth the price difference between what you would be paying someone that you're training constantly, or can't make a decision on their own.
Yeah.
That's the thing I found, is if somebody can come in to your establishment and work for you, and they're not afraid to make a decision, that's always a good start. They don't need to ask for everything. They might not always be right. But when you give them that leeway, you kind of have to let them be wrong sometimes.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah,
I have your back, but this is how I would have done it. But you have the realm to make a decision.
Yeah, right. Kind of empowering them to make that.
Yeah, you have to, because they need to feel like the business is as much theirs as it is yours, even though they might not see the net number at the end of the year.
Right.
But the fact that, if they have a really good year, they might say, oh, I have a bonus coming, or I have this coming. Or, just the fact that when they're not there, maybe it's not when they're clocked out. It's not necessarily a bad thing if they think about the business every now and then to make sure everything's going on.
Get that buy-in.
What's going on in the business when you're not there, right? So it's been good.
Yeah, no, in the beginning, you mentioned how you reinvested a lot into the center, games and the remodeling. So it sounds like the next logical step was to reinvest in the people, pay a little more, get the higher quality caliber people.
It comes to a point where when you're growing and you're doing things, you got to reinvest in things, right? So for me, everything extra, because I know, and I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I've never worried about the net number at the end of the year. I've always been the guy that's, how do we keep growing the gross? Because the higher that gross number is, it just increases your baseline. So the next time we do have a recession or something goes awry or whatever, the higher that gross number is, the higher that baseline is. And so the easy, you already get through it, right?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of always been the key for me, is grow the gross first and then worry about the net later. you know, and you know, as long as you're paying your bills and stuff,
Sure.
that's
Yeah.
kind of what it's been. And you know, and it's like I said, this last year we kind of flipped the switch where we're kind of got all the big giant projects out of the way, and you know, then you could finally see the rewards on the net side. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's been fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, it reminds me of Bezos and Amazon. That was his goal, you know, just reinvest for 20 years. And then one day you turn on the spigot and you're printing money. You know, you're one of the most highly valued companies in the world.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. Businesses that are stagnant don't constantly change, and it's not that I'm going to stop reinvesting. Likely, sooner or later, the gross outpaces your reinvestment into your facility.
Yeah.
It should anyways, if you keep doing what you're supposed to do.
Right. Yeah. As long as you're
And
reinvested in smart things.
we're finally into that point where it's, you know, we still kind of have, because it's like anybody else, when you start doing these remodel projects, my budget's this. By the time you're done, maybe we don't need all those decorations on the wall, and we don't
Right.
need all, you know, so now it's like I'm going back around, and you know, it's okay. We got to put something on the wall that makes it look good.
Yeah.
Because it's just a big
Right.
gray wall right now. I mean, it looks
Right.
great, but it needs to be better than what it is. And a
Sure.
few things like that, just kind of finishing touches that, like
Yeah.
when you do a project, you're like, oh, we're going to trim back this part of the budget and this part of the budget, because it never
Yeah.
goes as planned.
And I found that people respond better if you can drip out some of the changes, especially the visible changes.
Yeah.
Do it all in one lump, and then they don't see anything done for a long time. They feel like you're not reinvesting. But
Yeah.
even if it's something small like those decorations, your customers see those changes. They're like, wow, you know, they're putting money back into it.
Yep, there's something, they're making changes.
Yeah.
But
They
they come
care.
in, if they come in a year later, you don't want it to look the same as it was
Right.
last time they were there. It
Yeah,
might be as little
exactly.
as putting paint on the wall
Yeah.
or
Small
something like
things.
that, you know.
Yeah.
It's
Furniture. Right.
just
Yeah.
something, you know, it's
Dole
just
it out.
making changes and doing little things and just trying to keep everything fresh and exciting, and don't let it get stagnant.
Hey, did you like this video? Great. We make 10 of them a week. Subscribe to learn more and keep learning about what's working in the industry. Talk to you then.